Welcome to another webinar from TeamDrive Systems. Sync smarter, share safer. So today we're going to be focusing on the TeamDrive Web App. So access anywhere, mastering the TeamDrive Web App. So our mission for today is to log into the web app and configure spaces for web access. So this can be new spaces or existing spaces. And all of this can be done without needing any help from IT. Okay, so to move right along, let's start by logging into the web app. And this is something I missed in the beginning. My name is Kenneth Flanders, and I've been working for TeamDrive for about 13 years now, and I am the customer support manager. So again, we'll dive right in, and let's start with logging into the web app. So I'll just open up different ways to access the web app. So we'll just open our browser here. 1 second. Okay, so from the TeamDrive homepage, you can easily access the web app by clicking on Web App Login. By doing so, you will see the TeamDrive Web App. So once there, and you already have a TeamDrive login credentials, you can just enter your username and your password. So I enter my username and also the password. Okay, and that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Now I have successfully logged in to the TeamDrive web app. And as you can see here, there's a space already here because I created a space in a previous installation, in a previous local installation. And you also see that this space cannot be accessed from the web portal. And the reason you see this message is because that space, um, I have not enabled web access for that space. But the space is visible. However, again, I'm not able to access the space because web access is not enabled. But once you log into the web app, you see different options here. You see your spaces or you see different menu items. You see your spaces and you also have the option to hide inactive spaces. I currently do not have any inactive spaces. Well, this is my inactive space because it's not activated. I can't activate it for the web portal. So currently the inactive spaces are being shown and I currently have no active spaces in the web app. You also see your recent files, and this is if you're sharing the space with someone else and they have recently uploaded files, then you'll see the recent files that they've uploaded in this section. Then we have invitations. If someone invites me to a space, the invitation, or also if I invite myself to a space, the invitation will appear here. Then we also have the activities. In the activities section, you see everything that has transpired in the space. Then we also have the trash. So in general, in the trash can, you see either nothing or a few items. And what I mean by a few items is that you will see your actual space. However, just because you see your space in the trash, it does not mean the entire space is in the trash. It's only the items within that space that have been placed in the trash. So that would explain why you would see. So let's say if you have 4 spaces, and in each of your 4 spaces, you move something to the trash. So once you go to the trash, it will appear that all four of your spaces are in the trash. No, this is just to indicate that there is something within these four spaces that has been moved to the trash. So that would explain why you would see your spaces, your space folders in the trash. Okay, so when we go back to the Spaces tab, we also have the option to create a space. And once you have created a space, this will be clickable and you'll be able to create a new folder. If you also have access to Microsoft 360 or 365, you will also have the ability to use this option to create a file in Office for the web. Okay, if we go one level above near the search, so we have the search bar here in the middle. Left of the search bar, we have normally the beginning and end of your username. So here we have KF because my username is KF at teamdrive.com. And if I click on this, I open my profile. There again, I see um, my username, which in this case is my email address, a mobile phone number if I decide to add a mobile phone number, a landline number if I decide to add a landline number. Um, Here I can update my email address. Here I also see which type of license I am using. I see the license key. I'm also able to see information with regard to my Cloud Depot, and I'm also able to enter a new license key. I'm able to change my password, and here, very important, I'm also able to send a support request. So if I'm having any sorts of issues with TeamDrive, if I'm not understanding something fully, I can click here to send a support request. At the very bottom, I also see which version of the web client I'm using, of the web app, excuse me. So that's the profile. And again, in the middle, we have the search menu. To the right of that, we have a settings button. Here we can enter the settings window and view various settings, spaces, backup. Backup is important when we at some point want to import space keys. Server, if my TeamDrive account or app is connected to multiple servers, I will be able to manage that or see that here. Email notifications with regard to the notification center. And then we also have some advanced options. Okay, and that again, that is the settings. And to the right of the settings, we have the logout button, but we don't want to log out right now because we are in the process of discovering TeamDrive. Okay, so if we move right along to part two, so now we want to enable web access. So in the beginning, we will enable web access using the local TeamDrive app. So we can start by opening our TeamDrive app. And here we see I have the same space, my first space. And this is the space that we also saw in the web app. So if we go to my first space and we hover our mouse over the space and we click on I, and then we go to advanced, and then we go to web access, we can see that the web access is disabled. Now, as a default setting, when creating spaces in a local TeamDrive app, the web access is disabled. This is the default setting, so users can consciously come and enable web access. So I would like to enable web access, so I just click here and click on enabled. And that's it. And an important side note, I am able to do this because I have administrator rights in the space. And if I would like to, so if I'm in a space and I'm not an administrator of the space or I don't have administrator rights within the space, what I can do is go back and click on members. And then once you have clicked on members, you will see all the members of the space. And you will also be able to see which users have administrator rights. So if you would like to enable web access for a space, but you don't have administrator rights, contact the user with administrator rights and request that they enable web access for the space. Okay, so now that we have enabled web access for my first space, we should be able to access the space in the web app. So let's go back to our web app. And if we press the refresh button here, we see I'm now able to activate the space. So let's do what it says and click to activate the space. Yes, I would like to confirm that I would like to activate the space. The space is activating. Okay, and we have successfully activated the space. So let's click on the space once to enter the space. And we see, oh, there's already a test document there that I've uploaded. But before we upload a different test document, let's try creating a folder. So now it's possible to create a folder, and we can give it the simple name new folder. So now I have created a folder within the space using the web app, and this folder will also be synchronized to every other app that has access to this space. So let's try creating a test file. I can I'll create a test file in the background. We can actually just use our YouTube thumbnail. I think that's pretty easy. And you will not see that now, but what I will do is I will drag and drop the file into the TeamDrive window. So here I'm dragging and dropping, and you can see the YouTube thumbnail for this video has been added to the space. So as I mentioned earlier, when I briefly discussed the menu items, we have activities where we can see everything that goes on within the space. So if we click on activities, we can see first that since I'm logged in on both devices with the same user, we can see that I changed the web access for the space from the local client. Then we can see I joined the space via the web app. We can see that I added a folder, whether it be from the web app or from a local app, but my user added a folder, and we can also see that my user added one file. So if we click on, if we take a look at the folder and we click on more, now we see the name, here, we see the name of the folder. So we see within which space, my first space, and we see the name of the folder that I created. Okay, now if we do the same for the file, we see the name of the space where the file was created and the name of the file. If I created this file within the subfolder that I created, then we would see the entire path. For example, we would see slash new folder slash YouTube thumbnail. So we would see the entire path of the file, so we know exactly where the file is. And if we click on the file, then it takes us to that location within the space. So you don't have to memorize the path and then try to come and find it on your own. You just click on the file and it takes you exactly to that location within the space. Okay, so we enabled web access via the app. Now, how do we enable web access via the TeamDrive app? Well, we simply do that by creating a space. And it's important to understand that when creating a space using the web app, web access is automatically enabled. It must be, otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to create a space. So let's just create a space. And we'll give it the name web app space. And we see that we have successfully created a space using the web app. So let's go into the space, and I'll also, as you see here, no files or folders found, drag files here or create a new folder. So we won't create a new folder. We've already gone through that, but we will upload a file and we will upload our YouTube thumbnail once again. So I'm just using the drag and drop method. I drop the file here and we see that the file has been added. We can check the activities. Depending on how large the file is, the upload process can take a little more time. This file is very small, so that's why it looks instantaneous, but that may not always be the case. It's just important to keep that in mind. So we see here says we don't see that I created the space. We see that I joined the space because once you create it, you automatically join. There's a join event created. So we see that I joined the space web app space. Then we see that I changed the web access because again, when you create a space using the web app, the web access is automatically enabled. And then we also see that I added one file. And if we click more, we can see which file I added. We click on the file, it takes us exactly to the location of the file within the space. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the web app. Again, if with regard to troubleshooting, so if you are having issues not creating, but enabling web access for a space, remember that you need administrator rights within the space in order to be able to enable the web access. So if you do not have administrator rights, be sure to check who within the space has administrator rights and contact them to request that the web access for the space be enabled. Also, if you're having difficulties creating spaces or synchronizing data or also enabling the web access, let's say you've clicked on enabled, but somehow this change is not being accepted or taken, be sure to check your internet connection to make sure you have full access to the internet. It sounds redundant, but sometimes it's as simple as that. And also, you only want to enable web access for spaces you genuinely need to access remotely. It's not necessary to just enable web access for all of your spaces. If you have the intention of using or accessing a space while you're on the go or just not at your own computer or not at your personal app, then you should definitely enable web access for that space and enable or make it possible for you to access this space easily in the browser while you're on the go. So again, our keys to success. So just a brief recap. So you log in at teamdrive.com and click on web access, or you can go straight to webportal.teamdrive.net to access the web app. So again, you can visit the TeamDrive website and click on the button to log into the web app, or you can go directly to the web app URL by going to webportal.teamdrive.net. If you log into the web app and you aren't able to see specific spaces, and I don't mean that you see them but you're unable to access them. If you're unable to see them, if they're missing, then you can always go to your local installation and invite yourself to the spaces. Or from the web app, you can also import the spaces in the settings. And one more key to success: if you log into the web app and you see a space, but you also see this space cannot be accessed via the browser, you want to make sure you go into your local app and enable web access. Here's his browser sharing, but that is the same as web access. And so that wraps up our session for today. Again, if you haven't used TeamDrive, feel free to try TeamDrive now. Just you can visit the TeamDrive website. You can download the TeamDrive app, install the app, register, or you can register in our online shop and log directly into the web app. So thank you for viewing our webinar today. And if there are any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer those now. I'll check the chat briefly to see if there are any questions. Okay, at the moment, I do not see any questions. So I would like to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time and continue to enjoy using TeamDrive.